My name is Higgins. I'm a lawyer for the earth. I'm in the business of creating the laws to protect the earth. And those laws are ecocide and earth rights. So the crime of ecocide is damage, destruction to or loss of ecosystems. And there are two ways of actually causing ecocide. One is by human-driven activity, largely corporate ecocide. The other one is through natural causes, naturally occurring causes, so tsunamis, rising sea levels, great tragic catastrophic events that can hit vast tracts of territory and land and sea as well. Both of those bring different implications with them, but one of the things that we do know is that it's the human-made ecocide that is also aggravating and to a large extent causing excess greenhouse gases, which then has a knock-on impact and may or may not be causing climate change. Nevertheless, what we're needing to do is close the door to the damage and the destruction. At the moment, we don't. We have a whole load of environmental laws, but the problem with our existing environmental laws is that they're clearly not fit for purpose. Now we know that because the Amazon forest is being destroyed at an ever-increasing rate. We have vast damage and destruction happening on a daily occurrence. We have increase of excess greenhouse gases. Market mechanisms are certainly not resolving that system. So we need to close the door, and the one way that we do close that door is through actually enforcing some form of legal duty of care and responsibility on heads of state, on those in a position of superior responsibility, CEOs, directors of companies, heads of banks, because this is ultimately all about the flow of money. And what's happening is that we have the flow of money is going into damage and destructive activity, and that tends to be heavy extractive industry. Whereas what we need to do is we need to close the door of the money flowing into that, so that then the money flows into innovation in quite a different direction, the benign technologies, the new solutions that we need so that we can create the clean and green economy that we so desperately need to put in place very, very quickly.
From a technical perspective, who would be the people who would actually implement a law like Ecocide?
Yeah. So this is actually about using pre-existing, what I call hardware. We don't actually have to reinvent our wheel hugely here. All it requires is an amendment to a pre-existing statute, and that statute is called the Rome Statute. The Rome Statute was put in place in 2002, and it sets out what are known as the 4 pre-existing crimes against peace. The 4 pre-existing crimes against peace as they currently stand are genocide, war crimes, crimes against humanity, and the 4th is the most recent one, was put in place last year, and that's crimes of aggression, the run-up to war. Those 4 international crimes are seated in the International Criminal Court. That's a relatively new piece of hardware that we have. Up until then, we prosecuted international crimes on a situational specific basis. So the Nuremberg war trials were put in place after World War II. Likewise with Yugoslavia and Rwanda, we put in tribunals after the event, and it was recognised that that was too late to deal with international crimes. In fact, we need something sitting permanently. So the International Criminal Court now sits permanently in The Hague. So we have the document there. To amend that to add a 5th crime against peace only needs a 2/3 majority vote, and that's from signatories to the Rome Statute, and that is 1 vote per country. So we're not looking at having to build consensus right across the board here. We just need that 2/3 majority for it to become law. And that's very important because, yes, it's a mountain to climb, but it's a far smaller one. Because when your vote is equal, whether or not you're the Maldives or America, yeah, then it doesn't matter if America doesn't vote. Because there's a legal principle called ergo omnes, which means it's international law, it applies right across the world, it protects the whole planet.
How exciting, that's very exciting. So tell me, what does the world look like when Ecocide is then in place?
Well, this will change everything on an enormous scale. In fact, I'm only really beginning to truly comprehend what a difference this will make. This really is about the flow of money. This is about actually facilitating finance going into innovation in a very different direction. What happens is when you put something that is such a global change maker as this is in place, is that you need to reskill and upskill an awful lot of the world's workforce to go in a different direction. So in a way what we're doing here is we're not putting businesses out of business, but what we're doing is we're reinventing their wheels. And that's very important. This isn't about actually locking up a whole load of CEOs or directors. This is actually about giving them the ability to actually go in a very different direction. And what that means is that subsidies will be pooled. Subsidies that prop up damaging and destructive activities. So fossil fuel extraction, for instance, deforestation, if it's not done responsibly. It's about actually taking those subsidies, moving them from over there where it's causing ecocide, and actually putting it into the benign solutions. It's about closing the door legislatively, so that then there's a framework in place which ensures that all decision making puts as number one priority the decision as to whether or not a business is causing ecocide first, over and above profit. So if you are actually causing ecocide through your activities, that's now become unlawful. Therefore, you will either actually want to close your doors or reinvent your wheel. And of course, there will be new subsidies in place to reinvent your wheel. So there will be assistance so that the problem becomes the solution. And we need big industry involved in this, because actually there's an awful lot of bright people working in these industries. We need their brains, we need their human power put into creating the innovation in the other direction.
It's nice that you're also offering financial assistance as an incentive to make people change.
Well, it's very important, because actually at the end of the day we do need to ratchet up the solution, the innovations in the other direction. If we don't provide the subsidies that are required for this, then we are going to leave some industries really struggling, and that will lead to economic collapse. So we do actually need to pave the way financially so that those industries then come on board as well and move very, very fast. The beauty is also with big industries that they have infrastructure. They have great ability to turn around and reinvent themselves very, very fast. Industry actually likes legislation. It gives them the boundaries as far as they can go, so that they can bounce off and shout for the subsidies in the other direction and get the help that they require to do that. At the moment, it is the law for all industry to put profit first above every other consideration. This is leading to enormous damage and destruction on a mass scale, which is escalating. We have to close the door to profit that arises out of damage and destruction, out of ecocide. It's not against profit per se, profit's fine, but it's making sure that that profit arises out of a very different activity, one that's actually assisting civilization to move and advance into a far cleaner, greener world.
So now, Polly, you're a lawyer,
yeah.
And so I believe you're getting back into the sharp end of it. You've got a trial coming up, is that right?
Well, I don't have a trial.
Yeah, fortunately not you.
Yeah, thankfully I'm not.
A mock trial coming up, yes.
Yeah, on the 30th of September we're holding a mock ecocide trial here in London, and we're going to have charges put against a fictional CEO, but they are charges based on real events, real incidents, real ecocides that exist out there. Now, we're not actually going to announce until the day what those charges are going to be, but I can flag up that it's going to be either one or two of various ones. It could be that we're looking at the Amazon. It could be that it's Arctic drilling, that's another potential ecocide. It could be that it's unconventional tar sand extraction. It could be some enormous oil spill disaster. It could be any one of those. There are many ecocides out there in the world, but we're going to leave it to the day to actually unveil what it is that we're actually prosecuting.
And you're going to test your law, the viability of your law, against an event like that?
Yeah, absolutely. We're literally going to see how it plays out. in a court, looking at real evidence, real facts, and
A real judge?
a real judge, a real jury, real barristers and QCs, both for and against, prosecution and defence. And we will literally stream this out to the world so that the world can see how it plays out as well, what it will look like, what will be the issues. We'll also be speaking to the jury afterwards, after they've made decisions, to see how they made the decision, what they thought, how they felt about it. We'll have fly on the wall so that we can see how the process actually evolves. We'll have interviews. We're going to have various people from across the world who will be inputting their commentary on it as well. And we want to engage. We want to engage big business on this. We think that's very important because actually we want the problem to become the solution. And we want to say this is looming on the horizon. You know, come on board. Let's see what's happening here and let's see how to move forward so that we don't actually have any CEOs prosecuted, so that we actually have these CEOs waking up and saying, okay, let's change the rules of the game now. We need to stop the damage and destruction.
So how could a viewer of Positive TV help you out with that? Fantastic.
Well, you can fund it, help us actually raise the finance for this. So if you go on to the hamiltongroup.co.uk, they're the guys that are actually setting this all up. Go onto their website and you'll see that there's some crowdfunding there. Hook into our website as well, eradicatingecocide.com, and you'll find there more details as to how to actually engage on the day. We want to be able to put up a public voting facility as well so that we can see what you think. We're very keen to get the public engaged on these issues, and please do message it out. Help us make it happen.